Can you explain to me?
Yep. So actually, there's this initiative that has come out between the Veterans Administration and the NHPCO, which is the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. They have reached out, and many hospices throughout the country have decided to kind of sign up and I don't know, maybe get on the bandwagon, we might want to say. So part of this organization, the program is called We Honor Veterans. Here at Masonic, we are part of that program, but you will find that there's a lot of hospices that are. And you can actually go on a website called We Honor Veterans, just Google it, and you'll get information about what that is. But what it is that actually 1 out of 4 deaths in the United States is someone who served in the military, whether it's during peacetime or wartime. But what they've identified is that veterans not only are special people and have done a great job serving our country, and we really need to recognize that, but they also have special needs many times at end of life, given the type of military service that they had. And so a big part of what we do and what this program is all about is first identifying if a person is a veteran. And what we identify as a veteran is someone who served in the military. A lot of times people think I'm not a veteran even though I was in the National Guard because I didn't go over to wartime. But a veteran is anyone who served in the military. And it's very interesting when I explain that to people, they're like, oh, so I'm a veteran, and I'm like, yes, and thank you so much for your service. So there are different resources that sometimes, depending on your service, that you can be connected with. So if we know someone's a veteran, the other thing is then we start asking, do you have what they call a DD 214, which is a form that they get on discharge. Because there may be some services while on hospice or on home care or even afterwards that they may be eligible for, or their family might be eligible for. So we look at that. We also look at when they served. We also look to see if they did serve in some sort of situation that could potentially have created some PTSD or some other issues or some medical issues. There's a whole thing here in Connecticut where a lot of the hospitals now, they are being asked that they need to ask if the person served in the military, because there's certain disease processes that they are finding that are connected to the services that they had, such as in Vietnam and Korea, and also being on certain ships where there has been nuclear power, things like that. And that even physicians, even if they aren't on hospice, it's important for physicians to know, because that disease, say a certain type of cancer, or they're finding that certain kinds of MS, could be potentially related to their service, which then could connect them to more resources through the VA. We also may be interacting differently. We may be giving them different medications, because we are learning more and more about people that when they are experiencing PTSD and they have anxiety or restlessness or agitation, one medication that we might use with someone who's a civilian may not be appropriate for them because it's increasing their symptoms of the PTSD. So we're doing a lot of training with all of our staff so that we can identify and we can help them. We are also part of what this program is looking for is we're trying to develop more and more volunteers who are veterans so that we can do vet-to-vet connections. And if we can, if we have staff that are veterans, because what we find is that vet-to-vet connection is so important, because there are so many things that people may want to talk about or may experience that someone who's a civilian has no understanding, and so that they don't talk that much. Also, the military experience is a totally different way of life than the civilian way of life. And so sometimes it's hard for people, especially when they're near the end of life, they go kind of back to that way of thinking or being. And sometimes when we interact with them, it's kind of like someone who has cognitive impairments and so forth. If we're trying to argue things, or if we're saying, no, this isn't happening, that may not be what's happening for them. They could be reliving things. So we need to be very sensitive to that as staff, and we need to help educate our nursing homes or assisted livings around that as well. So communicating with family, working with them. We're seeing people even who have dementia, some of the older gentlemen, and then when we find out that they were veterans, that may impact how we are going to provide the care to give them the comfort that they need. That's it in a nutshell.